Alright, so this is Cyrus, March 5th, doing my second presentation on tobacco. So for the last couple of months, I've been doing a lot of research on tobacco. And tobacco has been an issue for a long time now, but nothing's really happened. We know it causes cancer and other very serious illnesses, but people still continue to smoke. So how did this become so bad? Well, back in World War II, the government would give tobacco to the soldiers because they'd be depressed, they'd not really want to fight anymore because they'd just seen all their friends dying, they'd be away from their family for long periods of time, so they'd give them tobacco to just keep the morals up. And it worked for a long time, so they kept doing it and doing it. But then when they got home, America would see their soldiers, their heroes, as smokers, and they'd want to be like that. They'd see that. And then the secondhand smoke would also come into that and just help get everybody else addicted. And that really took off in the 60s. And on top of America's heroes being smokers, there's pictures like these of dentists and doctors saying that tobacco's alright, it's good for your teeth, more doctors smoke this brand of cigarettes than any other brand, and other stuff like that. But fortunately now, doctors and dentists know better than that. But still, a large amount of people smoke. So to help this problem, we need to understand who is at the greatest risk of becoming addicted, and that'd be teens. Now, every day in America, 3,200 kids under the age of 19 have their first cigarette, and about 2,100 kids become addicted, meaning that every year 1,168,000 kids have their first cigarette, and 766,000 kids become addicts. And if you look at adults, 9 out of every 10 adult smokers started before they were even 18. The reason teens end up smoking is generally the same reason they do anything else. They just want to fit in, they want to be a part of a group. It's just something to make them feel more alive, more free, more in control. And some of the reasons adults do it too is because they're just stressed and they think it'll help them. Now, what physically happens to you is kind of the scary part of everything, and what happens in your brain is why you can't quit as easy. Smoking actually will change your brain. Taking all that nicotine, your brain develops more nicotine receptors to cope with all the extra amounts you're taking in. So then when you try to quit, your brain's thinking like, where'd all this nicotine go? I need it still, and it'll send you into withdrawals, making you drowsy, anxious, irritable. It'll give you extreme head pains and several other symptoms. Now, what happens in your heart is the scariest to me, because when you smoke, the carbon monoxide in the smoke replaces the oxygen in your blood, making your blood sticky blood. And this just makes it harder for your heart to push it. Your heart has to work harder to get it to your hands, your fingers, your toes, and even to your head, making it harder to think. And when your heart's working this hard, trying to pump blood where it needs to go, is what causes heart attacks. And since blood can't get to your brain, it causes nerve damage and all that. And then these are the lungs of an addict versus a non-smoker. Now, there are over 6,000 chemicals in cigarettes that are also found in rat poison, rocket fuel, nail polish remover, rubber cement, lighter fluid, and many other deadly, deadly products. And they get stuck in your lungs when you take them in. And most of the time your lungs, since you breathe in dust all the time, have these little hair-like things called sela to clean it out. But when you smoke, the sela slows down and they can't work as efficiently, making your lungs just get clotted even more. And then smoke also changes the mucus cells in your lungs, making your mucus thicker and just clot up and hold all that gunk, those chemicals in your lungs longer. And that's what makes lungs look like this. And as far as cost goes, in America, cigarettes are pretty cheap, about $5 a pack. So an addict, on average, every year, an average addict spends $2,000 on cigarettes, which doesn't sound like a lot, but imagine all those things that could be gone towards food, family, other things that they need instead of decreasing the value of their life. But then you look at the United States, since the United States has to pay for health care and all this, it costs them about $130 billion in direct medical costs, just because all the smokers getting lung problems, heart problems, cancer. Now what can we do about this? Because teens are the most likely to become addicts, we need to start with them. And that's the biggest step we need to take. And it all starts with parents, because parents, they raise their kids. So sometimes as a parent you may feel helpless when it comes to disciplining your kid, especially a teen. But actually you have a lot of power. By starting out raising your kids with a negative view of tobacco, you are doing so much to help. And that idea will carry on to them. And try not putting negative consequences on it, because if your kid knows that by smoking they'll get in trouble, their parents will think it's not cool, that kind of fuels them, because kids love to rebel. It's just something that makes them feel independent and in control. So it's not good to do that. Just be more disappointed rather than have a consequence. And schools also need to take a big action in this, because schools see the kids more than parents do, and in a way more than friends do. So teachers are around the kids, so they have a pretty good idea of who's doing what, especially in smaller schools like they have in Orcas. And teachers, yet they still don't really do anything about it. They know kids are doing this, but they don't say anything, they don't speak out, or any of that. So teachers and parents and principals need to get involved in this. And besides that, schools are supposed to educate people, educate kids, educate the future generation on stuff. And if the future generation is enslaved to tobacco, how can they really get a whole lot done? People need to start taking actions against tobacco. As of now, tobacco is the leading death in the world, leading preventable death in the world. Smoking kills more than the combination of cocaine, AIDS, heroin, car accidents, homicide, and suicide every year. Kills more than all those combined. Tobacco has killed far more people than Ebola, yet people still freak out way more than Ebola when they see someone smoking. And tobacco has been around a lot longer than Ebola, so that nothing's been done about that is just mind-boggling. Smoking needs to be stopped. Thank you for your time.